Coming up, ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Alex Anderson from Orchard Village stops by the podcast to continue our ComEd EnergyForce Series in celebration of the 10th anniversary of the EnergyForce program. Episode 431 of the Special Chronicles show starts right now. So our conversation with Alex begins right now on the Special Chronicles show on SpecialChronicles.com. The mission of how I started podcasting and started Special Chronicles is giving respect and voice to those of us with special needs. I became an athlete leader of Special Olympics Illinois, and when I recorded the audio of the speeches that I was given and putting those up as podcasts, I soon received messages of encouragement, and I learned that it was a powerful platform and really helping to make a difference in people's lives. 12 years ago, I didn't expect that anybody would want to even listen to me. We have over 42,316 listeners per month. It's a humbling experience. I'm really grateful to make a difference in other people's lives.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Podcasting since 2008. This is the show where we're broadcasting disability stories from an insider's perspective, and we are giving a voice to people with special needs. This is your weekly guide to finding joy, acceptance, and inclusion.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel, founder of Special Chronicles and a Southern Survival International Global Messenger of Special Olympics. And I should add, for this series, ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. So excited to be back behind the microphone for another week. This is the third to final. I don't have to keep track of all the episodes of this series, but the third to final episode, the second to final that I'm actually recording on a weekly basis. We pre-record some and record some live and doing some pre-recorded and all that. But right off the bat, we're going to get a few housekeeping things out of the way. So first, the Special Chronicles show is presented by the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. Learn more about the nation's first energy efficiency education program taught by people with disabilities, including video resources and original podcast series that you're listening to right now, and external resources at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. Again, that's specialchronicles.com/ComEd to learn more about our partner, the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program, and help us fund our weekly podcasts and live shows on Special Chronicles. On Special Chronicles, we can continue to tell empowering stories behind the microphone, like you're about to hear Alex's this week. To further our mission and vision, giving respect and voice to people with special needs, please join our community of supporters and make a gift today. SpecialChronicles.com/give. Again, that's SpecialChronicles.com/give. If you want to go ahead and donate at the $250 gift level, Tim Shriver will send you a free autographed copy of his new book, The Call to Unite, Voices of Hope and Awakening. And again, to get that free gift, make a $250 donation to Special Chronicles. You can text GIVE to 50 to 833-953-2598, and you can receive that thank you gift at the $250 gift level. And now, without a further ado, we're going to, as we said, continue ComEd EnergyForce series this week. And please put your virtual hands together as we welcome to the Special Chronicles show, Alex Anderson, for ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. Welcome, Alex.
Hey, guys.
So excited to have you on the program this week. And why don't this is part 10, I think it is, if I got that right in the show notes. I know I originally sent you the wrong link.
Yeah, you did. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll just let that fourth wall down until listeners know that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to actually produce the series. But excited to have you on, and I think we met at one of the trainings or one of the
I think
events.
Yeah, I think I did one event with you, and I think training too.
Training too, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely training, and then back pre-COVID when we had events in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, let's have you introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us about the disability that you were diagnosed with and your connection to our disability community and your role at the ComEd EnergyForce Program.
Okay. Hello, guys. I'm Alex Anderson. I'm part of Orchard Village. My disability is I have anger problems, and sometimes I repeat myself over and over again. That's one of my disabilities. I've been with Orchard Village since 2011.
Awesome. And we'll get into a little bit more about your involvement with Orchard Village and a little bit more about your involvement as well, just like me, with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program in a little bit. But first, before we get into a little bit more about your backstory, your personal backstory as an ambassador, of kind of where you came from before you came to the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. Before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and take a short sponsor break. When we come back from the break, we'll hear about Alex, your backstory of, as I just said, how you came to Orchard Village and how you came to the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program, which is, again, how we met through both of our organizations, you, Orchard Village, and me, Special Chronicles, partnering with ComEd. So all that's coming up right at the break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at SpecialChronicles.com/give. That's SpecialChronicles.com/give. Our guest on the Special Chronicles show this week is Alex Anderson, for ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. Alex is from Orchard Village. And now, Alex, let's get into a little bit about your backstory of how you came to Orchard Village and eventually how you came to the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. But first, tell us about your backstory of your early years growing up with a disability. And
Okay. First, I started living at home with my parents. Then I got in a lot of trouble with them. Then I got shipped to a hospital, like a intake unit. Like Then after that, I moved on to another place, another group home, before I came to Orchard Village.
Awesome. And neat. So there's a lot of traveling around, I guess, to different places where you have lived
Correct.
before you came to Orchard
Yes.
Village. You mentioned some of the challenges. Tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges, as well in addition to the challenges, the joys and accomplishments because of your disability.
Okay. I started like when I was at home, I started like running away, coming home late, hanging out with bad people, get the police involved a lot, breaking stuff. Then my mom said enough and enough. I had to end up in the hospital. Then I didn't go back. Like I didn't went back home. I went to another place, another agency before I came to Orchard Village. Then when I got to Orchard Village, like I've been proving myself, being a better person, helping out with working, giving back to people, being like helping other clients and stuff.
Awesome. And speaking of, you said you some of the challenges you had was dealing with the police. Sure, and this might be a little painful to get into, but tell us about how did the police react to the disability that you were diagnosed with, and then in addition, as you know, I think it's been about a year that we've had a lot of the racial issues with the police with George Floyd and a lot of those other racial issues. So how did the police react to both? Because you had two things that the police that were, I guess, different about you that the police had to react to. So how did the police react to both disability and the racial issue?
First, the police, like when I was at my mom, when my mom called the police, I've been handcuffed back of the police car, then took it to the police station. Charged me with like vandalism at my mom's house. I've been charged with that. Then when I got a little older, I was like, oh, I know what's right, what's wrong, and about this George Floyd thing, I'm proud to be a African American people, but I'm worried about the next person who, when the police come to interact with, I don't know if it'd be a black person, be another black person. What if they do the same thing? It's like right now, I don't mind the police, but I want them to like know that, oh, this person has a disability. We better like sit down and talk to them about it.
Yeah. So hopefully by hearing your story and like on this podcast and hearing other stories like yours, and hopefully the police can have understanding not just about the disability and the challenges that you have, but also about ways and understanding, have a little bit more equality and diversity and understanding the differences, both everything from race to disability.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and take another short sponsor break. When we come back, we'll hear about we'll hear more from you, Alex, and your story with Orchard Village, and later on in the program about your involvement with the ComEd EnergyForce program. All that is coming up after the break right here on the Special Chronicles show. So don't go away. We'll be back after this next show sponsor break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. And with that, this episode is brought to you by. I should waste that a little bit. This episode is brought to you by Special Olympics Illinois. I wanted to take a second to mention how excited I am for the Special Olympics Illinois 2021 virtual summer games that's happening this week from June 21st to the 26th. There will be activities for the whole community, like crafts and esports and workouts and comedy. I'm most looking forward to the 2021 Summer Games virtual celebration on June 26th. It all happens online. You can learn more and pre-register for activities at virtualsummergames.soill.org. Again, that's virtualsummergames.soill.org. You can listen to the previous episode of this podcast for a special bonus episode with another fellow athlete, Lito Z. We previewed the upcoming virtual celebration. So please join us. I know that tonight, 6 p.m. Central, Monday, June 21st, I will be actually the same time that you guys hear this podcast. So you can pause and come back to it later, because tonight I will be leading a how to edit a video editing 101 workshop the same time that you hear this. So if you're hearing this, then if you're hearing this, go listen. Anyways, you can listen on demand later. I just realized two things happen at the same time. Anyway, hey, that's why we'll pre-record it. Anyways, please join us. Long story short, I love in this live read. Long story short, please join us at the virtual summer games this week, June 21st to the 26th. virtualsummergames.soill.org is where you can learn more and join in, get all the Zoom links to join in on this week's virtual summer games. And we are back. Whoa, we're back. Alex, I know I kind of realized that the time of when this episode releases is the same time when there's another event going on, and because we're not live. It says we're live, but we're pre-recorded, and people are going to watch or listen to this live or on demand later. So with that, let's go ahead and and continue with your story, Alex, and hear about your involvement with Orchard Village, which you mentioned a little bit in your backstory, because again, that was a part of your story. A part of your story is how you got introduced to Orchard Village. So now tell us a little bit more about how you first got involved in the Orchard Village organization.
Well, okay. When I got involved for Orchard Village, we learned it from some other clients here, like introduced me to Orchard Village. Orchard Village is a fun place for staff to help us with anything like budgeting, going on trips, playing sports, help you get a job.
Awesome. Neat. A little bit more about some of the activities that you do as that all a part of the Orchard Village organization.
I do a ComEd. I'm a ComEd ambassador for Orchard Village. I play sports with them, like track and field, basketball, and we planting a garden too, like different vegetables. They teaching you how to plant a garden, like different vegetables like carrots, peas, hot peppers, What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, once again, our guest on the Special Chronicles show this week is Alex Anderson, fellow ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador from Orchard Village, is joining the show. And to tell us about, out of all the activities and your involvement with the Orchard Village organization, tell us what you enjoy about your involvement with. Do you have any favorite activities that you?
Mostly track and field, basketball. I like to interact with different clients. Maybe joke around with job coaches, and mostly it's like I got a good support of them helping me finding a job, and we can choose what sports we want to play.
Neat. So is you mentioned that you play? I think you said it was track and field and basketball, and so as a part of Orchard Village, you compete in Special Olympics.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I also competed in Special Olympics with C-Spal is my local agency. But,
okay.
But yeah, so when the last sponsor break, when we mentioned the virtual summer games that are happening this week, let's see if I can put it up on the screen again. virtualsummergames.solio.org. I don't know if you were familiar with this week's June 21st through the 26th virtual summer games, but I'm sure you will hopefully participate in some of those events if you like to. And again, if people listen to this after this week, then you can still get involved in the Special Olympics, Illinois. But let's go ahead. And is there anything else that we may have missed that you want to share about Orchard Village before we take our next break and get into the next segment about the ComEd EnergyForce program? But before we get into that, is there anything else you want to say about Orchard Village?
Yes, Orchard Village is a good place to grow. They help you a lot. They help you like based on your skills. Like, do you need this? You need a little bit of help. The staff always here to help you. Job coaches, they help you find a good job, what's fit for you. And there's a lot of activities to do too. Right now, like for me, I'm currently got my own place thanks to Orchard Village for helping me grow like a, how you say it, responsible person.
Neat, awesome. So it's neat that we have that. In addition to what we'll get to after the break, in addition to in addition to the ComEd EnergyForce program and all the benefits that we'll get to again after the break in the next segment. But there's all these services and organizations like Orchard Village that are able to help you to live an independent life, right?
Correct.
You're able to live
independently,
and in addition to living independently, also participate in other organizations like Special Olympics and other organizations in the community. So awesome. We're going to go ahead and in just a few moments from now, take our next sponsor break, which talks about ComEd. And coming up after the break, we will get to hearing more about how the next part of Alex's story from getting involved with Orchard Village, now going into partnering with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program and becoming an EnergyForce Ambassador, like you see on my show. And again, if you listen to the podcast and go check out the video on YouTube and Facebook, you see both of us talking side by side, virtually, but side by side. So we'll hear about that, as well as coming up at the end of the program, we'll hear about a question that I always ask all of the guests at the end of the program. So all that is coming up after the break. I won't tell you what question. Actually, Alex, an idea as I'm sure he saw the show notes, but all that is coming up after the break right here on the Special Chronicles show on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. The EnergyForce is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at SpecialChronicles.com/ComEd. That's SpecialChronicles.com.
Basically the same thing. If they would have Googled Orchard Village, it would have came up.
We're back. We're back right here on the Special Chronicles show. I'm not sure what that voice was, but we're back on this.
Oh, sorry. That's my job coach over here.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all good. Well, it was a good way to kind of come back from the break. Our guest is, if you couldn't tell already, well, you probably could tell from the title of this episode, Alex from ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador from Orchard Village. Let's now get into, we talked about your story from get involved with Orchard Village, and now let's move over to how you began with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. So tell us about how and when you and your organization first got involved in partnering with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program.
Okay. There was two of us at first. When we first started, Teresa was the one who introduced me to ComEd. I say, hey, do you want to be a ComEd ambassador? I say, sure. What ComEd ambassador do? Oh, they go and talk about Energy Force. I was like, okay, I love talking to people. Let's try it out. Then, since then, I love being a ComEd ambassador.
Awesome.
Sorry.
No. You can go on.
Yeah, I've been doing ComEd for 7 years so far. I will keep going until I can't go no more. That's my goal is.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about, again, this year is a little different than past years where we have had in-person events, but now, since we're doing these 10 virtual engagements, and this podcast is, for you and me both, is one of the 10 virtual engagements that we're doing this year, 2021. But out of all of your involvement as an ambassador, tell us what you enjoy about partnering with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program.
I like to the questions I don't know. Maybe my coworker next to me might know the answer. It's like, oh, okay. Now I remember the question. When the next time a customer, a guest, comes up to me, oh, how you say energy on your electric bill and stuff like that. That's like, you just need to do is just follow the few steps to make sure you turn off your lights, turn off any electronics you're not using, like your laptop or your computer at home.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into some more of those energy efficiency tips in our final sponsor break. Before we get into that final question that I always conclude these conversations with, but first, there's a lot of, and you touched a little bit on it, but there's a lot of skills and benefits that we learn from being a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador, like what you said, is I think a lot of us didn't before becoming an ambassador, didn't know about a lot of these energy efficiency tips, but because through the training, we ComEd educates us, where then we are able to educate the public, and that's something that I think a lot of people, for anybody, but a lot of people might not see you or me because of our challenges as people who are able to educate the public about energy efficiency, but we're able to really wise above any of the challenges that you and I and the other ambassadors have. So from that, is there a favorite memory from either an in-person event or an online digital engagement that you have done as a part of the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program? You might say that this podcast is one of your favorites. I know other people have said that, but you have a favorite memory?
The favorite memory is the doing this podcast for the first time. It's like, man, I like doing the podcast. This is the first time I do it with somebody. A little nervous, but I think this podcast is my favorite so far.
Awesome. And I didn't in the pre-show tell you to say that, but
No.
And that's what it is. It's a conversation between friends. Our listeners just get to listen in on a conversation that we'll having, and that's, and even though there might be some question and answers, but it's basically all it is a conversation. And I think even though you said you were a little nervous, and maybe that's just because when we went on air, I pressed record, and the fact that this conversation is being recorded,
Right?
maybe that's the part that you might be a little nervous about. But other than that, it, like you said, it's just fun. It's just a fun conversation that our listeners happen to be listening in.
Right.
So awesome. So hopefully Sean will heal from when I can't make the next check-in thing, meeting thing that he has in a couple of weeks or next week, but maybe you or some of the other ambassadors can tell Sean how beneficial this podcast series really has been. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take another short sponsor break. Which we'll get into hearing about some of those ComEd energy efficiency tips that you just talked about, Alex. You just talked about some of them. So we'll take another break. When we come back from the break, we'll get to some final thoughts and a question that I always conclude conversations with is coming up after the break. Our guest is Alex from Orchard Village. We'll be back after the break.
Hi, my name is Lisa Noble, and I'm a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador and an athlete with Special Olympics Illinois.
Hi, my name is Daniel Spakowski, and I also am a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador and founder of a company called Special Chronicles.
The ComEd EnergyForce Program is a program that hires people with disabilities to teach the public how to save energy and money.
It's the country's first energy efficiency program of its kind.
Saving energy is especially important while everyone is at home due to COVID-19. We're using more electricity than ever before. Just think about how many more times you are opening the refrigerator door these days.
And while the economy is stressed, it's more critical than ever to save money where we can. Following these tips can save energy and money in this time of COVID-19.
Wash your clothes in cold water and use the dryer sparingly.
Your dryer can take up to 7 times more energy than the washer.
Turn off and unplug any electrical devices or power strips you are not using.
Electrical devices can continue to zap power even when turned off if they're still plugged in. We call them vampire devices.
Use LED bulbs.
They use 25% less energy than incandescent bulbs and last up to 25 times longer, saving you lots of money over time.
Keep your refrigerator between 35 and 38 degrees.
And be sure to use Energy Star appliances.
And last but not least, check out ComEd.com/home savings for more tips and rebates.
Lisa and I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Remember, we are all in this together.
Stay healthy.
And stay safe.
Bye. We're back. Our guest on the Special Chronicles show this week is Alex Anderson, fellow ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador from Orchard Village. And as we are about to come to a close, Alex, on this episode, we'll get into, before we get to that one of the final questions I always conclude these conversations with, and listeners for the past couple of years will know what that question is, but it's a pretty powerful question that a lot of you all can really learn from. But before we get into that, is there any social media or website plugs for your organization that you want to share with our listeners? I'll put one up on the screen, but how can people connect and find out more about Orchard Village?
Yes, you can go on their Facebook page at orchardvillage.org. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of activities, different clients, like doing something. Or if you guys want, if any parents wants to enroll like your children here, just call Orchard Village or go on their website and they're going to show you different activities, or any staff need, like the kids need help with something. We got staff to help you with that too. Always check the website orchardvillage.org for more information.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to include those links in the show notes on specialchronicles.com /podcast431. Again, that's specialchronicles.com /podcast431. And the link to the show notes is in the description below, depending on where you're listening or watching this right now. And so we'll put links to, again, that's orchardvillage.org, orchardvillage.org. Where you can go, as Alex just said, to find out more or to get involved with his organization. And a question that I always conclude these conversations with is talking about inclusion. As you know, inclusion is big in Special Olympics. Inclusion is big here at Special Chronicles and ComEd, and I'm sure your organization as well. So what does inclusion mean to you? What does inclusion mean to you?
Good question.
Feeling involved. Feeling involved.
Getting involved with something. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah. Awesome. Did you want to add to that? Or?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, awesome. Great answer. Get involved. And over these past few episodes and stuff in the past couple of years, people get a lot of different answers. So it's good to get your unique answer, and that's a great answer to that question about getting involved as what inclusion means to you. Yeah, it's a personal question, so it's all different types. Yeah. All different types of answers. So before we come to a close and mention just a few last minute housekeeping things at the end of this episode, as well as at the very end of the episode, we'll give all of you listeners a teaser, a little sneak peek of what's coming up on this podcast on future episodes in the next couple months. But any final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles show that you want to share with our listeners?
I have fun on here. Interacting with Daniel over here, but make sure you guys stay healthy. Make sure you guys still wear masks, and make sure you guys wash your hands before you leave the house or when you come back.
Awesome. Well, We're gonna our guest on the Special Chronicles show this week has been Alex Anderson, fellow ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador from Orchard Village, and it's been a joy having you on, Alex. And anytime that you want to come back on the podcast, we will always welcome you to come back on the podcast. If you want to share your feedback, or if you want to connect with me, what I'm doing when I'm not behind the microphone at Podman Dan is where you can connect with me on social media at Podman Dan. And you can, of course, email feedback at SpecialChronicles.com if you have any comments on this podcast. And SpecialChronicles.com is where you can go to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're now, thanks to Medea's recommendation, we are now on Snapchat and TikTok. Just look up Special Chronicles on those. To figure out how to use some of those, but somebody will show me how to use that.
Yeah.
Again, Snapchat thing. I'm pretty new to that. But anyways, you can also on SpecialChronicles.com subscribe to our newsletter, and all of our remember to subscribe or follow and rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Rating goes a long way. If you can remember to rate and review and do what you do with these podcasts, and remember to share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family so we can grow our audience, reaching 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 23,000 average monthly listeners. Our guest has been Alex Anderson, for our ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. We will, once again, the Special Chronicles show is presented by the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. You can learn more about the nation's first energy efficiency education program, including video resources, this original podcast series, and external resource links at SpecialChronicles.com/ComEd. Again, it's SpecialChronicles.com/ComEd. And please help us fund our weekly podcast. If hearing Alex's story has touched you, if you've been empowered and loved hearing Alex's story and all the other conversations on this podcast on Special Chronicles, then please make a gift. Please go to SpecialChronicles.com. Either make a $250 gift or any gift level, any donation. We would greatly appreciate it. From the bottom of our hearts, we'd greatly appreciate it if you can go and donate. SpecialChronicles.com/give. All the links to donate will be in the description in the show notes below. And until then, I will see you next week with another ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. We have 2 episodes next week as we conclude this EnergyForce series on this podcast. So 2 episodes next week and tons more content coming you guys in the coming months. So really looking forward to you guys hearing some more empowering content right here on the Special Chronicles show. And until then, we'll see you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
$2021.
Pretty. So we're going from Jamaica all the way across country over to Hawaii.
To give a speech for Voices of Champions, I asked myself, what could I share with you today? What could I give that might help you in your life journey? I looked at my own life for what has really helped me on my journey. And the thing that changed my life was finding my voice and learning how to use it. This is called advocacy.
So please go and subscribe to the Special Chronicles show on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I'll see you on the show.